Hello, this is Amberlyn of Florlyn, and I'm going to make a journey to Weathertop in Lowlands for my Coursera assignment, focusing primarily on the setting, mise-en-scène, game space aspects. I do feel the need to add, though, that I am not a native English speaker, nor do I live in a country where English is spoken as the first language, so I would like to apologize in advance for any shortcomings concerning the voiceover should they occur in this video. In this journey, I intend to follow the footsteps of the four hobbits and a man who at this stage is of course referred to as Strider. We have just left Bree from the south gate, as you can see. We will first pass from the Midgewater marshes, where there are more midges than water as described in the book, and then we will climb the hill situated north of Forsaken Inn. We will follow the stream mentioned in the book, and then we will turn right to find the path which, as the book describes, ran cunningly, diving into dells and hugging steep banks. According to Aragorn, it was made to serve the forts along the walls, which you will also be able to locate in the video. These forts were built by the men of the north, as was the watchtower of Amon Sul, the summit of Weathertop. But first, I will let you sit back and enjoy the journey. So if you're ready, let's go. It was burned and broken, and nothing remains of it now but a tumbled ring, like a rough crown, on the old hill's head. That was a description by Aragorn on the way to Weathertop. And a more detailed one will follow once they have reached Amon Sul. On the top they found, as Strider had said, a wide ring of ancient stonework, now crumbling or covered with age-long grass. That is a very clear description on Tolkien's part, so it is really impossible as a reader to not picture it in your head. So I believe it wasn't very difficult for Peter Jackson or the game developers to imagine it as well. Although both in book and game we do get the idea of an ancient place in crumbles, in debris, I have to say that in the movie it is a little bit better preserved than what was described in the book. You can see some of the sculptures and you can see almost a story completely preserved. But that is not really the only difference. What we see in the game is a wide ring as described in the book, However, in the movie, we see a considerably smaller ring. The atmosphere there is more claustrophobic, if you will. And I think that might have to do with the fact that he wanted to convey the idea, Peter Jackson wanted to convey the idea that hobbits couldn't run from the ring wraiths. In this small claustrophobic closed off area, there was no room to run away. Let's move on to our next quotation. But in the center, a cairn of broken stones had been piled. They were blackened as if with fire. About them, the turf was burnt to the roots, and all within the ring, the grass was scorched and shriveled, as if flames had swept the hilltop, but there was no sign of any living thing. In the movie, the mentioned cairn is completely non-existent, maybe primarily because Peter Jackson did not necessarily need it. I might as well add here that I did not really detect the signs of such a great fire on Weathertop. The atmosphere and the lighting was so little, it was so dark in the movie that it wasn't really possible for the viewer to dwell on such details. Peter Jackson did not want to include those details because he did not want you to dwell on that. He wanted you to focus on the ring wraiths who were in the scene closing in on Frodo. So, in a way, we can say that the mise-en-scène of Weathertop in the movie is there in order to boost the scene, the action that is taking place on Weathertop. It doesn't really stand on its own as it does in the book. Of course, Tolkien and Peter Jackson used Amun-Sul for different purposes and for different actions, but I am not going to get into that. Now let's go back to game space and see how this burnt turf was depicted in the game. There is the burnt turf with the scorched and shriveled grass. Everything looks just as it was described in the book and in front of the cairn and all around on Weathertop, despite the fact that there are actually crabben on the top in order to serve a quest, which I don't really remember because I did that years ago, but I remember vividly that they served a quest there, so we cannot say that there was no sign of any living thing in the game space, but, well, I think we can excuse that. It's a game after all. But what I really like is that untouched white stone, that this is untouched by the fire, with the inscribed message on it. You can see it in the video as well. Well, that detail is amazing, and it also starts the quest actually. So it was beautifully done, really beautifully done. Standing upon the rim of the ruined circle, they saw all around below them a wide prospect, for the most span of lands empty and featureless. Now let's go and stand upon the rim. It looks about right, I'd say. Of course, in the movie, we don't really have the luxury of standing upon the rim ourselves. We are restricted to whatever the director chooses to show us, the viewers. So what we get to see in the movie is restricted to the glimpses we get over Aragorn's shoulder at one point, and some other characters as well, when they are situated in front of the panorama so that we can sort of get a peek at it. But even that glimpse is enough to display the featureless land that is surrounding them in Amun-Sul. Take a look at the word featureless here. There is the sense of emptiness, being in the middle of nowhere. But in the game, it is really very easy to convey the idea of featureless, because there is a limit to the spec of what you see in the game. What I mean is, even though you can see until the horizon a large land, it's pretty much featureless, because features come out of thin air as you walk towards a destination. So when you stand upon a point, what you see in front of you in the game is the land, but it is pretty much featureless. Now, this works here to the advantage of the game at that moment, because what we see, we stand upon the rim, and what we see is a featureless land. Well, if we were standing in Rivendell this way, it would have been to the game's disadvantage, but in a land so featureless, it really works to the advantage of the game. Now let us move on to our last quotation. Beneath them, on the southern side, there ran like a ribbon the old road. Can we see that in the game? Right there. I don't know if you have seen it in the movie, but I haven't. I did watch it over and over again, but I did not see a road. So, in the movie, I can say that the Weathertop, Amunsul, is depicted as a more isolated place, because when you stand on top of it, you don't get to see any roads going anywhere. However, here, we're close to civilization somehow. Road is civilization somehow, but we can't get to it. We are standing close to it, but we are completely closed off to it. So let's wrap things up and conclude this video. All in all, I can say that the depiction of Weathertop in the movie and in the game are quite different. In the movie, we don't get to see Weathertop in daylight. We have got quite the claustrophobic place, mise-en-scène, in order to boost the idea of no escape from the ring wraiths. Whereas in the game, you can choose to visit Weathertop at any time of the day, so they had more room to stay loyal to the original description of Weathertop in the book, because they did not need this specific place to add to the impact of a specific action. They could very easily let Weathertop stand on its own, and which is what they exactly did. I would like to thank all who watched this video. I hope you found it informative as well as entertaining, and well, please be kind. Thank you all very much.